We are live. All right, so Bloodborne, The Old Hunters. It came out recently, and I have the sort of same feeling I did about The Abyss of Artorias, or Artorian, or however the hell you say ripoff.
Which is that
Uh,
game?
that was Dark Souls. It was
Uh,
it was the Abyss Walker DLC, and
I
I
didn't
came
much
out.
care for the original Dark Souls myself, so I never got the DLC.
I went through it twice, and it's kind of a mess, but I enjoyed it. Um, so Bloodborne: The Old Hunters is I originally thought it was going to answer a ton of questions, more or less, because there is no planned DLC in the future for Bloodborne after this. An interview with the creative director Miyazaki, whatever his name is,
Yeah, it's
stated that
Miyazaki.
yeah,
It's kind of
uh,
amazing how many people in game design that are like so big are named Miyazaki.
uh not to be confused with the Japanese version of Walt Disney. But yes, this DLC is it
Yeah, I
revs
know
me.
what you mean. No, because like the guy said, like we're gonna give like a ton of backlore to like all the old hunters. You're gonna find out what happened to them. They're trapped in this perpetual nightmare, and all that. So I mean, I didn't even think about that when I was playing it.
If I didn't see the interview, I would have no idea that was the case. Um, for
Yeah.
another, for I've collected half the stuff, and it's kind of interesting because I sort of like put it together in my head. Okay, this is how Yharnam was uh, before I came to it, but it looks like it's in the future because everything is sort of meshed together like in a nightmare miasma.
Well,
Uh,
the area takes place inside of a nightmare, so it's actually kind of
uh-huh,
like Mika Lash's dream,
uh-huh,
or Mika Lash's wet nurse's nightmare that she created, or like the vacuous spiders in Dimension,
uh-huh.
or the what do you call that? You know, the one you have to fight Amagala in
Um, yeah,
Nightmare Frontier.
yeah, the nightmare frontier. Um, so this place is just littered with tons of difficult hunters at the start of it. But
Oh yeah, no.
yeah, I'm like, oh yes, they're gonna give me like 10,000 souls because I'm on New Game Plus 3. And I've got all the moon rooms. And those are five.
Oh yeah, yeah. Same here. Like, was it like 5,000, 6,000? I'm on New Game Plus, so
For New Game Plus, it's like 1,500, I think.
I
And
got more. I get more from that. I think I got like the lowest I ever got was like 4,500.
uh, but regardless,
I mean,
it's
not from the little werewolf guys, but from the hunters themselves.
yeah. Um, but regardless, that's not worth my time because I need 500,000 souls to progress my character.
Yeah. My problem with these guys is that I've noticed that there's like a massive amount of inconsistency on how they can be stunned to the point where I'm up close shooting with a shotgun. Half the time it works, half the time it don't work. And when it don't work, then he just gets a free attack in, and your health gets jacked up. So I go from like sometimes I just like super fast kill him, like boom stun, visceral, boom stun, visceral, dead. And sometimes I'm expending 8 health files because the stupid system won't work right.
Yeah. Um, but it is a very interesting like landscape because Yarnum mostly takes place during the night, or at least in the first part of it, it takes place in late afternoon. This takes place almost entirely in daytime, and I guess makes it a lot more creepy because now I can see all the details of the city.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, half the DLC is like inside of buildings, so
Yeah,
But yeah, I love like the first thing I walked out and I looked up and I saw the sun. I'm like, that this looks awesome.
yeah. And then the first boss is Ludwig, which we friends countless times in item lore. Like since you beat Vicar Amelia, you get like sort of his offshoot weapon, the Ludwig Holy Sword, which is still the best weapon in the game. And
I'm still using my threaded cane and mercy blades. So I would have to disagree with that being the best weapon.
Well, it has B scaling in skill, B scaling in skill, B scaling in strength, skill, and arcane.
Nice.
So across the board, it's still the best. I mean, Blades of Mercy has an S scaling in skill, from what I remember. It has less scaling in the other categories.
Yeah, okay. Skill-wise, what you mean? I mostly just go off on whether it works for me or not. If it don't work, I just don't care for it. I mean, you have the best stats ever if it takes too long to swing it, and they get like 3 attacks in on you, so it's like pointless for me. That's just my opinion, though, man.
Yeah. And then we fight Ludwig, which, like all the clerics and vicars before or after, I'm not really sure the context of this. He's sort of deformed into a half horse, half wildebeest, Wookiee-looking
with like a second mouth that has like razor sharp teeth all inside.
Yeah, that has eyes all inside of it, and he has horse legs and a horse like for a tail.
Yeah, but...
yeah. I think what annoys me most about it is not how like vicious he is. It's just that every attack he makes this high pitched scream. So I had to mute.
Oh man, what was that one boss that did that during the main campaign? That like all I think it was the cleric base, wasn't it?
Vicar Amelia was the loudest. He always screamed that like nails on a chalkboard scream. Yeah, that was her. And Dark Beast is actually an optional boss, and there's 2 versions of him. There's the Lore Grand Dark Beast, which you can find in the Chalice dungeon, and then there's the Dark
3
Beast.
versions now. They added a new one, which in the DLC, which we were talking earlier, but I mixed up the bosses. If you get the skull from the elevator and bring it back to the chapel where you get the key to use the elevator, you can actually activate it. It's basically a reskinned cleric beast that now has fire attacks and moves super fast and has semantical one-hit kills that seem to work sometimes but not other times.
Yeah, I haven't fought that person yet. I still need to grab the skull.
If you beat him, like you can join the Beast Covenant, but it's like one of the most broken bosses I've ever had to fight in this game.
Yeah, and every time you join a covenant, you get a special rune. What does the rune do? Exactly?
Allows you to enter beast mode, because remember how they had beast mode in the game when it first launched, but then they kind of took it out in one of the expansions, not expansions but updates, because I guess it didn't work or something.
Yeah, it's where you eat a beast pellet, and it's sort of the more you attack, the more damage you do, but in return, the more damage you'll take.
Yeah. Well, they put that back in the game, and if you join the Beast Covenant, I guess you don't suffer any of the negative consequences from it.
Oh, yeah. I guess you wouldn't take more damage then, because that's the withdrawal of eating a beast pellet.
Yeah, I've been trying to. Oh no, like use the beast claws, and you turn into a beast. Like actually, you grow hair, and you look like a werewolf guy.
Yeah. And there are some other odd hunters in the Old Hunters area. There's some of, I don't know how to pronounce his name, it's D-I-J-N, the guy on the Gatling gun at the clock tower in Old Yharnam.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Brave Wolf Hunter.
Yeah, and if you kill him, you get the Gatling gun.
Yes, that's one of his, like, I guess, like little trainers.
I don't know. I didn't even know that guy had a name. Well, I mean, I guess I knew he had a name, but it wasn't relevant to the game.
And after beating Ludwig, you fight the Living Failures, which is sort of comes out of nowhere, and it's kind of like the Four Kings boss fight. They have a collective health bar. So, in theory, you could kill just one and everything else dies.
Hmm.
If you do enough damage. And after that, you get to fight Lady Maria, which is an interesting lore point because Maria was Gehrman's apprentice. And Gehrman made the doll, and the doll is supposed to remind him of Maria. So that explains the doll, finally. You still there, man?
Oh yeah, I'm still here. I had to go back to a dungeon the dungeons to kill more bosses to get more insight because I blew all my insight trying to kill the new reskinned cleric beast to get the beast covenant. So I haven't. I've only like lightly explored the area you're talking about. Yeah, I kind of basically I kind of rage quit on it, and I haven't on rage enough to go back and play it again.
Yeah, the medical.
So I'm just like trying not to sound like a complete novice here.
Yeah, well, I've gone through the, but I wouldn't go through it again. I'm just
Oh
not
yeah, I
doing
mean,
enough damage with my.
like yeah, man, I understand that because that's like where I'm coming from. It's where it's like, I can go back, but there's like no real motivation to go back. I've already got most of the really good weapons you can get from it. The Amigala's Hand, the Moonlight Blade, the True Moonlight Blade, or whatever name it has.
The Holy Moonlight Sword.
Yeah, Holy Moonlight. That's it. Yeah. So it's like, not like at the top of my priorities anymore. I think that's really kind of because it's like I noticed about Dark from Software's expansions of their games is that they assume that everyone that's going to buy the expansion is just like redonkulously leveled up. So they're just mostly just grind enemies. They're like tanks. Then you have bosses that have ridiculous health, and it's on and on. It just, I mean, this is arguably one of the better balanced ones, but basically a theme I've noticed with their expansions. Like with Dark Souls 2.
Yeah. And this is the case though with their Armored Core series, which whatever DLC or expansions they have on them, it's just more parts. But I could rage for an hour about how far that series has just gone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I love mech fighting games. But Jesus Christ. 5 is, or Verdict Day, is more colloquially, or it's more likely known as, is it's insanely difficult. It sort of takes all the fun out of it. Yeah.
My brother's one that really was one that really likes the Armored Core series.
It's fun.
I mean, For Answer looked fun as hell. I just never found the time to get into trying it.
Yeah, it might be low texture, but it's still really fun. And it's, for the most part, pretty merciful, I would say. It can get difficult only if you let it, or if you go into a mission unprepared.
Yeah, that's just good game design where you just have to prep ahead for what the hell you're going to do and not just rush into things.
Uh-huh.
Kind of a dying art now, wouldn't you say?
And speaking of dying art, so wait, you haven't finished the old Hunters, right? You didn't.
I've watched my brother beat the final boss. He kind of plowed through the whole thing, and I just kind of rage quit on it.
Okay. So I guess the last talking point of that is the ending makes no goddamn sense.
I know, like I was like watching it, like the thing goes back into the ocean, and it's a deep, unending abyss, and nothing. And I'm like, what the fuck? Is something supposed to happen? Do you do something after that?
Well, I guess I'll go make a sandcastle over here.
And this like that what actually struck me is that I remember they said they took two different expansions and they shoved them together.
Yeah, that was.
That's kind of like what that reminds me of, like what it looks like, because like once you exit the building, the whole terrain's kind of different. Like you're not like in some kind of sea, like near the ocean area.
But I
It's,
climbed up like 15 stories.
yeah, it's like they took like a new nightmare area they were gonna make, and then this sea village they were gonna go to in a different expansion, and then shove them together, and it just
Yeah, it's the Iron Keep all over again.
oh
From
yeah
Dark.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like you go to the Earthian Peak and you climb up like 50 flanks of stairs, and just another elevator up, and you're at a volcano on level ground when there's no mountains there. And I actually did like at one time sort of break into, I don't know what you would call it, creative mode or something where you just glitch out of the environment. And I can see that the Earthian Peak is sort of in its own little bubble of background, and
I
the
know
art.
that irritated the hell out of me because I'm trying to figure out. Like, I go back to where the boss is, and I'm like, look around the landscape. I'm like, all right, which one of these is where that stupid keeps at? It's gotta be like me and my brother. We just spent like hours like trying to figure out where the hell the keep is located in that area.
Yeah.
So
Um, and it's actually that it's one of the very few places that you cannot see from Majula. In the starting area
oh
where
yeah, yeah. You can look down the coast. You can see the sunken city. You can look up the coast. You can see
you can see the King's Castle, you can
yeah
see the Forest of Fallen Giants, and you can see the Dragon Mountains, or wherever that was,
yeah
in
yeah.
the distance.
I
But
gotta say,
yeah,
Majula was like a really good starting area.
uh-huh.
I kind of was hoping they'd do something like that for Bloodborne, where they would have like a town or something where you just keep bringing more NPCs to buy stuff from. I mean, Hunter's Dream was really good. Don't get me wrong, but did not like it quite as much as I like Majula. Just didn't have the same amount of character as Majula.
Yeah. It didn't have the same volume of characters either. It's just Garamond and his doll wife are there.
Yeah, and that moon hanging overhead.
Yeah, and those little messenger people. But,
I like those things, especially when you give them little top hats.
yeah. So I guess that would bring us to our next topic, which would be Fallout 4.
Oh yes, that has sucked up more of my time than anything else recently.
Uh-huh. And
I'm just kind of about Fallout 4. I'm just kind of struck by that, just a contrast, because like there are moments in this game that are just amazing. Like oh, yeah, I was playing. I'm walking, doing the main quests, and I'm walking down this railroad. And I'm like, man, this just looks so good. I'm just like I just got so sucked in the moment. And then there are other moments where it's like this, like when you're building towns, and it's like this is just so underwhelming.
yeah, I think that building towns and keeping people happy is probably the most time consuming of it all.
Oh yeah, I mean it's
If
fun,
you have to
but
build a wall, you have to build fortifications that are equal to how much food and water the settlement produces. Otherwise, everything's going to break down in a raider attack when you fast travel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So earlier we were talking about the Brotherhood of Steel and their hatred of the synths. Like that didn't make much sense to me because I've seen some people talking about how it's like, well, AI, and well, AI is actually pretty common in the Fallout universe.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
And
like,
I've seen like
what was this thing?
I've seen comments where people have said, "Oh, it's because the Brotherhood of Steel is racist." Are you fucking high?
No, I was.
They are a machine.
Well, I understand that kind of logic because from a programming standpoint, a synth is not like a biological being. Well, in the way they're kind of both similar, but everything a robot has is like from some algorithm that is given to it. So like if it feels happy, it's because someone intended it to be able to feel happy. If it feels sorrow, someone intended it to feel sorrow, and that those emotions can be carefully controlled. So in a way, it's like an old debate are if we create something that's like human, is it on par with human?
Yeah, and I can see where the Brotherhood is coming from because autonomous machines acting sort of unchecked is exactly how the Great War sort of started. It's too much pride.
Well, technology outpaced human restraint, I believe the guy put it.
That's what I was getting at. And Maxim is kind of right. Is like if the synth like goes continues to develop itself, then it could very easily outpace humankind, and then we wind up in the Matrix or something like to that effect. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but like some of the synth already are designed specifically to look exactly like human, but like far surpass humanity. You find that out in the and spoiler alert for those listening, the dream of the guy that killed your son. If you actually go through it and listen to all the what he has to say about everything, they've made ones that are stronger, faster, smarter than humans already. So
Yeah, the coursers or whatever they're called.
yeah, whatever they're called.
Yeah, they still die pretty easily, but yeah, that was very weird going through Kellogg's memories and sort of picking apart like little nuggets of information to find your son when you're really just going through this guy's entire life.
Oh yeah. We have to make no. People aren't just brought in for no good reason. This guy had a human life. He was a human being. I mean, the person that's helping you was her Amelia, something like that. She says, well, he was a human too. It's like it's kind of I appreciate it for what it did for the character of Kellogg, but then that flies in contrast when you're in the fort and you can't talk him down.
Yeah, I would have loved to have the option to like say, "Hey, just tell me where my son is, and I won't kill you."
Yeah, and then have him become a follower or something.
Well, that would be kind of awkward because he did kill my spouse.
Well, yeah, but like by the time I got around to doing it, because I mostly just been doing side quests and stuff, it's like been already like 3 months in the Commonwealth. Kind of over it. I've already taken off the wedding ring and everything.
Oh, I never took the wedding ring off.
I did. I just saw no reason to
keep it equipped.
Yeah, I did it on. I believe I did it on accident, and then I'm like, there's no reason to dig it out of the chest and put it back on. But I keep it like it on the chest, or like the cover at the Red Rocket, which is what I basically use as my main base.
That'd be an interesting article of clothing to add on to Fallout rings.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like fans are already complaining enough that Fallout's too much like a Skyrim with guns. I mean, enchanted rings. I think people would finally flip a lid. It's like Skyrim with guns.
God, whoa.
When I read that, I'm like, so Fallout?
Yeah. Oh,
Oh, you like, and there like someone said, like for Skyrim when it was coming out, it's like, or whatever, it's like Far Cry without guns, or I
I
can't
played.
remember. It
Oh,
was
have
like
you
some.
played Far Cry 2? The one that came before Ubisoft got really heavily involved into 3.
Oh yeah, yeah, I played the original Far Cry. Man, that was one of the best games I ever played. I gotta say.
Yeah, Far Cry kind of meandered around for a bit. Like the first game was this odd shooting. I can't remember it. It's been so long. But
Basically, you're this average guy. Oh no, not average guy, but I can't remember if he had like some military experience or something.
he was a
But
cameraman. That's all I really remember. And he's like part animal or something.
no, that's actually an Far Cry crap. You when Ubisoft got involved, they basically made a spin-off where you got like superpowers, and that's when they put on the Xbox and stuff. The original one, you're just like a guy and you're stuck on this island, and you're just kind of going. You're kind of stuck. You need to cure for the disease you got. That you got injected with this the genetic serum and or whatever the hell it was, and you're
Yeah,
just
and
uncovering everything going on. And then they drops like some big, like there's a super secret group behind all this, and you can't stop them. Uh, and then it just ends, and you're waiting for this next game, and they never pick up
yeah,
like it ever.
and two was weird to me. And I kind of dropped it out of sheer boredom after probably
Halfway point.
give games a 12-hour stretch to like get me into it, and if it doesn't by that time, then I probably don't pick it up again. But 2 is really odd. You get a few selections of mercenaries, so they all play the same, and you're dropped into an African country that I can't remember, and the only currency available are diamonds that you find. So an AK-47 is 7 diamonds. Also, weapons break in that game, and the only way to really repair them is with diamonds. And
Yeah.
I just ran out of diamonds, and I never found them again. Uh,
Like I didn't have like a real big problem with the currency. What killed it for me, because well, aside from the fact my computer got corrupted, and by the time I got reinstalled, I didn't have my save anymore, so I was like, screw this. But what really killed it for me is like they kind of just like it's like a sandbox, but it's also too much like a rigid, mission stripe. So you really don't get the benefit or joy of either. They kind of drop you here. It's like you get to figure out your own thing, which is actually really fun. That's what I liked about it, especially setting fires. That was like my favorite thing to do. Like, sneak around camp, set fire, watch and run this way. Boom, 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 dead. They kind of do this. They kind of brought the fire mechanic back in 3 and to a lesser extent
um,
4.
and we've kind of gone off the rails here a bit with Far Cry.
Yeah, it was a good series.
Yeah, and then Far Cry 4 kind of, I just felt like I was being slapped in the face constantly. Everybody's just an unlikable, pushy dick.
Like, I wasn't even gonna touch 4. I mean, 3 I just found mediocre as hell. It was too much like Assassin's Creed. Yeah, they had stuff you could do like find collectibles, but like how hard would it have been in Far Cry 3 just to have some guy that you have to turn in the collectibles to? Like, just give me something in world that's giving me the reward to enhance my experience. Because I can't remember what game it was. I played another game kind of similar to that, and they kind of did that, and it just felt so much more rewarding than just say, oh yeah, well you got 50 of the lost artifacts. Here's a perk. What game was that? No matter.
While you're thinking about that, I guess I'll talk about sort of the Institute since we've
Oh yes.
after the reunion. And I have absolutely no sympathy for the Institute. I don't care if my son, or actually, that's one of the things that kind of bothered me. I don't have any proof that father is actually my son. I just have to go on his word alone. And a comment made it quite a very interesting question. In his position, if you had someone like the sole survivor show up to your institute fully armed, and would you tell the truth and say, yes, that is your son and I kidnapped him? Or would you say, I am Sean? And
Yeah,
because circumstantially, it's plausible.
yeah, and that's a good point, because especially when you're going through Kellogg's memories and he's talking about how the guy in charge of the institute's always coming up with these schemes and stuff, and then Kellogg just had Sean as a kid, and yeah, he moved out of the town, but like, I never got the feeling like he moved out like to be as old as father was. Like how old is like father? Like in his 40s or some stuff?
He said he's in his, let's see now, he would be 61 because he was kidnapped at 1 year old. Father states it's been 60 years. So that's all I've got.
Yeah. Okay. So
He's of a venerable age. He's on par with Elder.
Lionel.
Yeah, Elder Lionel. He had a first name. It was like Macus something.
Maximum or Maximum. I can.
McKinnit or something like that.
Yeah.
Again. But yeah, they've been contained in this area, sort of like the think tank from New Vegas, to sort of continue science to its logical progression. And they haven't really done anything to the Commonwealth, or I'm not sure if the Institute is just one place or if it's multiple places. But they haven't really improved the Commonwealth in the 100 or so years that they claim they've been there.
Well, they've tried. Well, they said they tried. Sorry for cutting you off there. Several things said they tried to commingle with the Commonwealth. Valentine went out, covered this a bit when he goes on his long rant about how you were adjusting afterward. Essentially, with the Commonwealth tried to form a government at one point, the Institute sent a representative and it ended up killing everybody. At one point, people became really suspicious about the Institute because its since we're going out and just like literally tearing down entire settlements. I think mostly abandoned, but for stripping them for resources.
Yeah, Valentine described it as they come to settlements, they kill everything and strip everything for parts.
Yeah.
They're a roving gang of sentinel bots, basically.
And then there was that one that shot up Diamond City, and after that, everyone was like, "Well, no, we don't want nothing to do with this no more." Which I think, honestly, there's probably gonna be something covering this, and maybe a DLC. Like some third party that tried to make sure the Institute could never get along with the Commonwealth. Because in Fallout 3, the Point Lookout expansion, what's his name? The ghoul you're with, he says he's going up to the Commonwealth to finish thing he started with one of the other two players in his, what they call, he quote said, game.
His microcosm.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, microcosm. Thank you. And so I can't help but wonder, like, if someone was not intentionally trying to make sure the Institute did not get along with the Commonwealth to stop them from being able to progress.
Yes, and you actually run into someone from the Institute. I'm trying to like put the timelines together. It sort of goes like Fallout 3 takes place sort of
200 years after the bombs fell. Fallout 4 takes place 210 years. I believe Fallout 1 takes place 70-some years. Fallout 2 takes place over 100 years. Tactics takes place, I think, 130, 140, 50 in that area.
Mm-hmm. And New Vegas takes place 200 years after the bombs fell. And New Vegas takes place roughly 204 years after it.
Yeah, it's like just slightly after.
Back to 3, So 3 must have taken place probably 180 years after.
No, 3 they said that only took place 200 years later. It's in all the promotional material and stuff.
Okay.
But like that's the problem with the timeline right there. What Bethesda screwed up is all their games make just no sense 200 years in the future. Like if you put them back like around the time of Tactics, when the Brotherhood was moving across the America, they split up. Like it would make more sense 140 years that the Institute didn't get anything done, that there's bones everywhere, that society doesn't look like it's totally crumbled or began to rebuild. But 200 years later, you really have to start wondering, like, why isn't society started rebounding? I mean, why is the Institute so, not the Institute, but the Commonwealth just so divided?
Yeah, and there's a lot fewer factions in this than there was in New Vegas. Definitely, I guess there's 5 factions in total. There's the Institute, there's the Brotherhood of Steel, there's the Minutemen, there's the Railroad, and then there is, I'm not sure if you would call them sort of players, but I guess Diamond City would count as its own faction.
Oh yeah. Well, in the manual, not manual, but the guide, basically super mutants count as a faction too. Raiders count as a faction, with special leaders here and there, and the Gunners also count as a faction.
Yeah.
But they're all just token generic enemies you have to fight.
Yeah, they're like the Regulators, the Talons, the Chem Fiends, the Raiders, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah, I mean, they're not like really factions that you can go up and interact with. Like, well, I'm one of you guys. I'm on my negative playthrough, and they'd be like, oh, hey, it's like, it's such and such. Welcome. That's what I liked about 3. Like, if you went negative, you could work with the slavers, and like they would literally, the guy would be so scared shitless of you. It'd be like, they'd come up to you like, here's something for how great you are. It's like, yeah, damn right. Kind of missed that.
Yeah, they also got rid of karma in this game, which is.
Yeah, it's like some background system now.
Yeah, and the only thing that really dictates it is your companion's interaction, provided if you do take a companion with you. To my knowledge, the only person that likes stealing, or there's only 2 people that like stealing, that's Strong and Kate.
Mick Greedy likes stealing too. It's kind of how I got him up.
Yeah, and
if you're just gonna do something that one of the players your companions doesn't like, I just don't bring them with me. Like if I'm gonna be mean, I don't bring Curie with me. If I'm gonna steal, I don't bring people I know who hate stealing.
Yeah,
I don't bring Hancock with me, or
which is everybody except for Strong. He only likes it when you cannibalize people, which is.
Oh yeah, he's the only one that likes that too.
Yeah, he also likes it when you're abrasive in conversation, or if you take a negative option, which I don't think he can even comprehend what I'm saying half the time. And let's see, oh yes, so there's a lot of callbacks in Fallout 4 to the previous installments. Like there's a cameo of Dr. Lee from Fallout 3. There's a brief description about the NCR at the Penguin, or whatever that huge floating ship is called.
Hub City.
Yeah. And
then they also mentioned the Shi, which apparently still rules San Francisco, which a lot of fans have been kind of wondering whether or not if the NCR had absorbed San Francisco or if it was still independent. So I guess now it's pretty much confirmed they're still independent.
Yes, but not too many callbacks to New Vegas, which is a game I've spent most of the time in.
Oh, hells yeah.
Yeah. And I wonder if the DLC is going to entail me fighting like previous Vault Dwellers or
Well, the first Vault Dweller from Fallout 1 is long dead. The Chosen One is dead. The one from Tactics, if he or she is still alive, I don't know if they declared him canonically male or female yet. I know 1 and 2 are canonically male, but I don't know if Tactics is canonically male or female. 3, I believe it's if the character's canonically male, and 4, I believe it's canonically male as well. But so I don't know. The only person I could think of that you would fight would be the one from 3. But like
Lone Wanderer.
Yeah, like what beef would you even have with this guy?
And I a great number of beefs. Like the Brotherhood sort of fell apart after their elder Lions died, and the sister Sarah sort of took her place.
I was kind of wondering about that. While they had a sudden change of heart.
Yeah, it's in a terminal by their like sort of head scribe, the guy with a nasally voice like mine and glasses, the one who sends you out for technical documents. I believe the background information is on his terminal.
So did they reabsorb the outcasts, or did those guys just go on their way?
Mentions that, or I can't remember. I'll have to go back and look.
Because I found like the Brotherhood kind of acted more like the outcast, so I just assumed at some point in time in the after Fallout 3 they just had to reabsorb the outcast back into themselves.
Yes, the more fundamentalist, I guess,
yeah,
the element of the Brotherhood into it. And let's see. I didn't have a problem wiping out the railroad either.
Yeah, like that's I'm about to go do all the I'm gonna make a hard save at the intersection point and then just brush through the other endings just to get the achievements for them, or rather trophies. And then I'm just gonna I was thinking about going the Institute is my chosen faction, but I'm not sure if I might go Minutemen instead.
Mm-hmm.
For to have my set ending for when the DLC comes out.
Okay. One of the reasons why I didn't have a problem taking out the railroad is that they're so cloak and dagger with you all the damn time. And nothing's ever clear and nothing is ever like fully explained to like what your end goal is, as well as it's a very tiny faction. So I kind of calculated in my head, it's like, okay, what can you empirically do to the Institute to harm it? And it's never really explored it. I didn't really follow their sort of quest lines until I got their ballistic outfit mod. Then I just kind of said, hey, you know what, fuck all of you.
I believe the railroad basically does kind of what the Brother of Steel does and just nukes the Institute. And then basically bum rushes the Brotherhood of Steel and then beats them.
Yeah, somehow.
Yeah, I mean, the Minutemen actually have a way better ending, and I honestly feel the Minutemen ending is probably what Bethesda's going to declare canon. Is because simply put, at the end of the day, they do blow up the Institute, but they sound the warning siren. So most of the scientists of the Institute they escape. So the Institute's not wiped out, so they can still do stuff with the Institute. Maybe now the Institute can, without their little hole to hide in, can actually be a force for positive good. And then they enter this really big conflict with the Brotherhood of Steel and ultimately end up driving them out of the Commonwealth with a massive barrage of artillery after taking down the airship.
Oh. Yeah.
Because I don't see the Bethesda declaring the Brother Steel option as canon. It's just I really don't. Just for a number of reasons, like they already have the Capital Wasteland.
Yeah. And part of the Mojave.
Yeah, I think the Brotherhood and the Mojave might have got wiped out.
Might have, but it is possible for them to team up with NCR.
Well, there was actually possible that you can make a treaty. Before in cut content, there's actually possible you can make a treaty with them for every faction. Some mods actually go back and just turn that back on.
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
But I just love the crafting system in this game, even though I'm hunting for duct tape most of the
time. Yeah, for a piece of.
Yeah, only to my idiocy to find out later that I could just make adhesive from the utilities. It's a mixture of corn, mute fruit, wheat, or razor grain as it's called, and some other. I think it's oil.
Oil's the one I was having trouble with. So I marked oil, so every time I walk through an environment, it's like light up, like oil, because I just keep running out of oil for my defenses, my weapon customization.
Yeah, oil is the adhesive of settlement building. It's integral into half the building material.
Steel is a real pain in the ass, though. I keep the only way you can get steel, which I find this so stupid, is that you could have a settlement, and right outside your build zone of a settlement are all these cars.
Yeah, I think
and they're 10 feet away from the main building, and you can't walk and go scrap these things.
Yeah, I'm kind of believing that the settlements were meant to be much larger, but for some reason, I guess this is a technical limitation, they were downsized significantly, but their environments remain the same. That's just my theory.
Yeah, I believe that. I really would. I think it's more likely that they really didn't know what the hell they were doing with it. That they had this cool idea, and that was basically it. Because there's so many obvious does that they could have put in, you should be able to trade with the major settlements. I should be able to build trade networks between Sanctuary, which I basically make my hubs town. Everything just goes through Sanctuary.
I made
and
my hub.
To Vault 81, to Diamond City, to Good Neighbor, to whatever the factions.
Mm-hmm. That seems to be two big settlements, 81 and Diamond City. That
Good Neighbors
that I could legitimately call a established sort of community.
Yeah.
Everything else is sort of just dotted around.
Yeah, I have to kind of agree there.
That's sort of a slum area with no I mean, it is where you get the best armor. But
yeah, the problem with I think Good Neighbor is a bit more larger in the lore, because they basically say everyone eventually that's nobody eventually drifts through Good Neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
And they talk, and you hear Hancock talk about how he became mayor, and the way he talks, it sounds like this place has hundreds of people in it.
Yeah, and it's where most of the interesting stuff happens. You meet the Vault Tech guy who got you the reservation in the first place, and it's where you take up the Silver Shroud quest, which is probably my favorite quest so far. And it's also where the Memory Den is, but I'm not sure what the Memory Den is supposed to be. Is it supposed to be an addictive
The Memory Den is basically a place where you can go back and relive your own memories. And the problem is that if you look at the Wasteland, people lose a lot of stuff. Like, what was his name against the guy that killed your son? Kellogg? Yeah, Kellogg.
That's such a stupid name. I can't
I am
think of Kellogg without thinking of like
the
breakfast.
cereal. Yeah,
But go ahead, what you will say.
yeah, but like Kellogg lost his I don't know if they were married yet. He was talking about marriage, but basically his girlfriend, who he had a kid with, and his kid. So losing stuff in the Wasteland is pretty common. So basically, people get just so obsessed with just going back and they're not gone in the memories; they're still there, and you can relive it over and over and over again. Which is actually what ended up happening to one guy in the memory den. If you when the guards will offhandedly mention, don't end up like, oh, I can't remember his name. He's just stuck in the past because he won't let all the bad stuff go. Which I honestly also think is probably gonna be one of the expansions because it's kind of obvious that going into someone's memories for an expansion, kind of like with Operation Anchorage.
Yeah. Even though that's not a specific memory, that's a training program.
Well, yeah, I meant, but like virtual reality, someone's memory, which is kind of like a virtual reality construct, because they know we have virtual reality in Fallout. They had it in New Vegas. They had it with the pilot seats. They had it in Operation Anchorage, and I'm not sure if they had it in 1 and 2. They probably did.
Oh, have you seen this video going around that theorizes that aliens started the Great War, or at least put humanity in a state where it was going to wipe itself out?
Oh yes, I have. Like, all right, which brings me I'm gonna make a quick point about this is that the one thing I found about people complaining about lore and Fallout is that most of the time they have absolutely no idea what the lore and Fallout is. This comes from this audio tape in
Mothership Zeta.
Zeta, yes, and essentially, for my take from this is that they activated some nukes, but they did not start the Great War. Some people have misinterpreted it. And they believe that this is what started the Great War, but as far as what I could tell, the incident was contained, and that it was not the result of the Great War. But in the Fallout lore, the aliens do play a big part. The Zaxtron, I believe, computers come from aliens. Basically, they crash. They've been reverse engineering it.
Mm-hmm. And there's also another lore point in Mothership Zeta is that they've been around since the 16th century.
Yeah,
you run into a samurai, a cowboy, a medic from the Chinese American conflict.
Yeah, and from Anchorage, he was like with his crew, they all got killed. And
yeah, and then you meet Sally, what's her name? From
yeah,
she's like from 1923 or something like that.
I was gonna say my favorite audio tape was you ever get the one where the senator we don't negotiate with aliens. That one was just hilarious.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I'm a senator. I'm a very important man. You guys can't do it. Ow! Stop touching me with that thing.
Yeah, and they sound exactly like what I would imagine aliens would sound like. Whatever it was, I can't emote it correctly.
I don't know what you just said, but it sounds like something that we start an intergalactic war over. Hey, here's a good question. Like, me and my brother were talking about this the other day. Like, what do you think happened to Mothership Zeta? I have a theory that after the Lone Wanderer, either he left with it or the aliens, what do they call themselves? It's in one of the...
That is something.
Yeah. Anyway, that they can't. I have a theory that they came back because if you play the expansion, like you barely are able to beat another ship of that class, and this does not look to be like a destroyer class ship. It's basically a research vessel with some weapons on it, and
Yeah.
another research vessel with some weapons on it. You barely are able to beat. I honestly think that the most easiest explanation for this is that they came back with a destroyer and just blew it the hell up. But don't tell the brother or still you have this because, I mean, you know, they kind of have a problem with human-like robots. I mean, they're going to be tripping balls over fucking alien technology. If they think robots are too...
Technology is not sentient, so I guess they would be okay with it because the Outcast did take alien power cells and no problem. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, but the Brotherhood kind of takes technology and keeps it for themselves. I mean, can you imagine how much they would lose their damn minds if they found out that someone controlled an alien spaceship and they didn't?
Mm-hmm. But the Lone Wanderer is part of the Brotherhood, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm actually not too sure in that. I mean, he had great dealings with the Brotherhood.
I feel that he's made an honorary member.
Oh yeah, I know like he's made for the story purposes, but at the same point in time in the story, it doesn't really ever convey that he ever had any super deep attachment to the Brotherhood. So I don't even know if like after the sequence of events that he actually even stayed with the Brotherhood. Like that's what I'm wondering because.
Yeah, I'd like to know what happened to my 9 Vault Dwellers.
I think I had like 6, 7, so I'd like to know what their fate too.
Yeah.
Well, except for that fate of that one guy who I used to blow up the Pentagon. I'm pretty sure he's ruling the Capital Wasteland at this point. I mean, he does have an alien mothership and use the Enclave's technology to blow up the fucking Pentagon, so he's pretty much in charge.
Yeah, and the Enclave at this point in Fallout 4 is pretty much non-existent. I didn't run across any references other than their suits, which are soon about.
The Enclave is actually very much still existent in Fallout universe. Even in Fallout 3, they specifically state that we have not defeated the Enclave, we have merely driven them from the Capital Wastelands. And the Enclave actually do control the Chicago region.
Yeah.
And we do not know what other regions they have. And there's also potential lore that says they also colonize Mars, which that was kind of like the Enclave was basically like the Illuminati before the Great War.
Yeah. They were the institution before the institution was cool.
Yeah. Except for they actually got shit done. I mean, they built vertebrates, super viruses, you know. They didn't just stay in a hole like, we're such a boogeyman. Look at all this money.
Yeah. And they had and you can probably answer this for me. Didn't they have like a super human enclave in 2, I believe?
Yeah, actually, the original FEV virus does not turn people into super mutants. The original FEV virus just turned people into basically like an Adonis-like human, and the government took. Yeah, I'm getting there. And the government took this virus, and then they started making something akin to super mutants. But they made a bunch of stuff like Death Claws are made using the FEV virus. Well, they were. But yeah, the final boss in Fallout 2, whose name I can't remember, but essentially he's enhanced with the I believe the FEV virus. He's basically the perfect person. Fallout 2 here, Fallout 2 super soldier. Should give me Frank Horrigan, that's his name.
Yeah, it was a legit name. It wasn't like Krog or some nonsense name like that. And it's only $2 at the moment.
Yeah, like They used the FEV virus on him, although I think it was a more stable version, because as we know, the Mariposa strain was rapidly different from the East Coast strain, which was heavily modified and apparently didn't work for shit.
Yeah, and that's not the only like strain of super mutant. There's also Nightkin, which I thought were pretty cool.
They were also made by the Master. They were supposed to be like his stealth army or something.
Yeah.
Special Forces, I think it was. Like that's kind of like a Christmas scene leveled at Fallout 4's Institute's plan to change society. It's basically a rehash of what the Master's plan was. But what the Master, when he came about, essentially people were still bickering and infighting even after cleansing the world in atomic fire. There was no NCR. There was no peaceful cohesion. He saw mankind as fundamentally flawed, and he figured the only way to stop this was to change mankind.
Okay.
That's actually this whole thing, and in 2, they actually make this interesting point where the guy says, well, if there was more people like the Vault Dweller, we would not have had no need of the Master's plan, which referred to basically taking everyone and turning them into a super mutant.
Yeah. And I think the FEV is probably the most interesting sort of lore point in Fallout, next to the think tank and their sort of experiments.
Yes.
Is that the FEV, it's kind of like AIDS, in that each person infected gets a different strain. So
not necessarily. There's actually 3 major strains of the FEV virus. There's the one that the Master used, which has been, as far as I know at this point, wiped out by the Vault Dweller. Then there's the East Coast FEV strain, which the Brotherhood has a sample of, the Institute, I believe, has a sample of, and the Super Mutants also has a sample of. And then there's a 3rd strain, which is extremely weak. Essentially, when the laboratory that manufactured it was hit with a nuke directly, it became airborne. I'm reading through something real quick. West Tech. Hold on. Yeah, basically when West Tech got hit with a nuclear weapon, it caused a mutated airborne version of the FE virus, which has literally spread to everything on the continent at this point, which is actually which is what's allowing mankind to actually thrive, even though the environment is basically extraordinarily radioactive. Because if the environment was actually this radioactive in real life, you would essentially see rapid amounts of cancer. Humanity could not simply easily rebound without the use of Gex. And so the airborne FEV virus is doing is allowing people to evolve at a much more rapid pace to become more suitable to their own environment.
But not to the...
Yeah, you don't turn into a super mutant.
Of ghouls. Like, they can survive pretty much anywhere, and radiation heals them.
Yeah.
And
there was too many ghouls in Fallout 4, in my personal opinion. It's like,
oh, and they're so fucking fast too.
Like the original ghouls, they basically lumbered about because their bodies are basically rotted.
Yeah, and this is one thing that really bothers me about the flora in Fallout 4. Everything does radiation damage.
Oh yeah, I know. Like you get like squirrels on a stick. Actually, I don't know. Wait, squirrel on a stick, was that radioactive? But like most of the food that even get cooked is radioactive.
It is? I haven't run across that.
Well, not the food you can cook, but
cooked food was radioactive. But every animal in Fallout 4 it deals radiation damage. And previously I wouldn't be too bothered for this because radiation would only negate something like strength, perception, or charisma, or take off one of your specials. In 4, it takes off part of your health.
Oh yeah.
Which makes it far more threatening.
Yeah. I kind of wish it would do both, honestly, because I like how that takes away your health, because that makes it feel like it's actually real radiation. But at the same point in time, I kind of miss how it would jack up your stats, because you could be half irradiated, and like basically,
You could be fine.
yeah,
And actually, in 3, you'd get a bonus if you did more with the Mrs. Brown's quest. Like you get a mutation that if you were irradiated to a certain point, limb damage would regenerate.
yeah. The thing they actually still have that achievement in not achievement, excuse me,
Perk.
perk, yeah, in Fallout 4. I
There's
saw
a
I
there's
think it might be underneath endurance.
Yeah, there's a perk called ghoulish, which means that radiation will heal you. And I'm not sure if it takes away health as it does, or if it um, totally negates radiation taking away your health completely.
Yes.
But there is an essential endurance perk, and that's called Water Boy or Water Girl, and that makes you able to swim underwater forever and negate water radiation. So, and it's pretty much essential if you want to conserve your rataways. So,
Like, and my big issue with Radaway, I'm glad you brought this up, is that at the beginning of the game, I ended up getting like highly irradiated,
yep.
just like from having to, and there was no doctors anywhere. Like the description in the you go to options and help, it says there's doctors in all major settlements. And I'm like, oh, hey, cool. Well, since Sanctuary is basically a major settlement, where the hell's my damn doctor? Because there actually is a caravan doctor, and he will go to not Abigail Farm, but the Finch Farm. But he will not go to Sanctuary, which
the merchant caravan or the Crimson Caravan version of this sort of system is sort of weird. It only goes to certain
3 settlements.
Yeah, and
and they're not unified, which is another big issue. It's like 200 years later, and I could buy that some crap happened. We don't have a unified Commonwealth government because they tried and it collapsed, and everyone turned back into bickering assholes that couldn't get along with each other. But there is no way you can convince me that Caravan Company or Caravan Alliance did not start. I mean, especially when you have this massive group called the Gunners.
Yeah.
I mean, who seem to be getting along just fine, but we don't have no caravan associations, no associations of settlements. I mean, honestly, it appears that
there's no Van Graff, there's no Crimson Caravan Company, there's no Happy Trails Caravan, there's like no overarching market. It's just sort of individualistic trading.
Yeah, almost as if they could legitimately remove that from the game, they kind of would. That's actually what a lot of people actually thought, that you would not be able to pick up weapons, that you would basically have to get parts and then customize them from scratch. Which, in hindsight was really stupid of some people to believe, but...
Yeah, like, maybe that would have worked. I mean, swapping out receivers would be a whole lot easier if there was just a base where I could just take weapons parts off of and just put it on something else, as opposed to make a receiver, the base receiver, then that mod that I have, I can now put on the legendary weapon.
Oh, you can do that. Just whenever you remove a mod from a gun, it goes into your inventory, which is kind of irritating.
If you remove a mod, you have to have a mod to replace it.
Yeah, which is kind of irritating because I always end up having to stash all these mods at my workshop because they, unlike bullets, they weigh. And so I think also if you scrap them, you might get some back. I'm not sure on that.
I haven't run across that yet.
I don't think it's all the time, but I think I might have gotten 1 or 2 mods from scrapping. I'm not really sure on that, so no one quote me on that. But yeah, that's what I do. Like, I got this. I had a 10 mm pistol, and it was silenced, and I got this legendary one that crippled limbs, and I'm like, well, throw that away. Yeah, silence limb crippler.
Uh-huh. In every playthrough that I've had so far, I've always run across an explosive 10 mm.
A what?
There's an effect on legendary.
Oh yeah, poison 10 mm. Yeah, you
No,
get that from
the explosive one like spray and pray, where each bullet makes sort of a miniature explosion and deals 15 damage.
Oh yeah, I've got one of those before. Except mine was a 45 mm. Except my rifle, I typically try to make sure I have one gun that carries per ammo type, because I have my difficulty cranked up to the max because I want some survival features. Like,
What
I
are
don't
some
want
survival features? Really? I've only been playing on hard and very hard.
basically there are none, except for stim packs will do what they did in hardcore mode and take time to heal you versus just going boop, you're better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which kind of
Companions are immortal, I believe, in this game. They're not like in New Vegas or 3 where they can die.
I know so many people complain about that, but I am so grateful for that, because honestly, every
Yeah.
time one of them died, I had to reload, especially around Cazadors. I was about
Yeah.
to swear
This
there.
is dumb as hell. They just rush into battle.
Like,
And,
every time there's a Cazador, if I didn't get to the damn the damn thing first, they were gonna die. They got poisoned. It's like, I'm like, here, use it. You have to go in, then you have to give them the antidote, make sure they use it.
uh-huh.
And that's you remember, like, you ever come across one of the larger groups of Cazadors?
Yes, but I haven't.
Yeah.
I don't mess with them on survival. Actually, I just go it alone in survival mode in New Vegas, uh, just to make it all that more difficult.
Yeah, I turned I always keep survival mode on, so I just like it. But yeah, like, whenever, like, there's like, oh great, this large group of Khazars. Okay, you wait right here. Do not follow me. Do not come close to me. I gotta go deal with that swarm over there.
And so I guess.
And
Go ahead.
and occasionally, when the Khazars be like, "Oh hey, I see you put that guy outside the battle range." It'd be a shame if I went over there and bit him a couple times. I was like, "You wouldn't. No, you wouldn't, would you?" Like, "Oh, I'm doing it, bro. I'm doing it." And you're like, "No." Enjoy reloading your 20-minute battle. I hate you.
Yeah, and I guess I can bring up this next talking point because we've gone for an hour on about Fallout. Have you seen Shiki yet?
Seen what?
Shiki. Uh, it's a story about a small Japanese village that is sort of being overtaken by vampires.
Oh yeah, Shikai. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, however you pronounce it. They say Shiki in the anime and the dub version, basically.
Um, I watched like I think like 8 or so episodes, and I just like really lost interest because
Oh yeah,
I
it's
had
slow build.
yeah, I mean, because the problem is that there was this mini series on TV that basically did the exact same thing,
What was
and
that?
I cannot remember its name, but it was a small town in America. Vampires basically took over it. They would often kill people in order to turn into vampires.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, it was the same thing. I mean, I think Shikai did it better, but for me, it was like, oh, I'll just watch something that's literally rehashing the same story.
Yeah, and this is all seems eerily familiar to the Stephen King movie Salem Block. Um,
I can't.
where what?
I was just gonna say I can't say that I saw that one.
Oh, I'd be surprised. It came out 40 years ago. Um, but anyway, it's a pretty interesting show after probably 10 episodes or so when everybody starts to sort of get a clue as to what's going on. And I know they're trying to make me feel for the vampires because, they act just like they did in life. They just have a palette swap of eyes and skin color. But really, how can you justify for what they're doing? It's like they're corrupting this entire town out of. It's not really hunger for the most part because the sort of got the guys in charge of the vampires are doing it, I guess, out of spite mostly, but it's never really made clear. But the rationale is behind it is like it's no different than eating a pig or a cow, and like,
Well, but
they're not my mom and dad.
Well, yeah, but like to a cow, like I'm not saying they're as intelligent as people, but they do have some base level intelligence and sentiency. Like, they probably don't appreciate being eaten. So I can understand that kind of thinking. I was like, it's no different than eating a cow. I was like, okay, that's true, very true. I'm still gonna kill you for doing this, but
Yeah,
I understand your reasoning here. I can relate because it's no different than a bull skewing my my kid.
It ain't personal, son. Just you or me.
Yeah, because like
Yeah.
you hear that logic and like another things like, oh, you do it to such and such. Is like, well, my first response to that is like, wait, so you're using a wrong to justify a wrong because kind of shows that you're not very intelligent.
Yeah. But I like the Doctor's perspective the most out of all the other ones.
Yeah.
Because he predicate his entire family sort of lineage is dedicated to saving lives, and he can't do that because he has no clue what's going on for the most part, and it just tears him apart for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I didn't finish watching this series. It's not that long, but I just lost interest. But like in his early episodes, I really did like him too. Him and I think the priest, the guy, the little boy,
Junior Monk, and then there's this other sub family that sort of
yeah, where the girl had the creepy crush on.
yeah. I cannot pronounce these guys' names for the life.
I wouldn't remember their names, so it wouldn't have bothered me none.
Yeah, that's the thing in anime is like in dubbing they always use the same Japanese name, even though it's pronounced in English, and I can't remember it.
There are very few dubs I would consider worth watching. I mostly try to stick to subs. Like you ever watch Attack on Titans?
I have not seen Attack on Titans or Sword Art Online.
I have not watched Sword Art Online, so I don't feel bad there. But like if I watched it came out in Crunchyroll for the West and phenomenal. I mean, so slow in some parts, but just phenomenal. And I'm dying to get the next season, but the manga artist apparently refuses to pick up the pace, so they're just holding off. But I watched
for Berserk and Black Lagoon. It's like,
oh yeah,
we can't continue it unless the manga continues. I mean, what do you expect us to do? Come up with our own ideas?
well, not just I get a point, but like, but have you seen what happens when Bleach tried to do that? Their ideas became so unpopular.
The manga sort of has a veiled pace, so the anime has to come up with their own little subplots. The Bound arc, the on the Zangetsu Rebellion arc, and all the spin-off movies.
Yeah, they eventually got so bad though.
Some of them are good, but
But yeah, there was like I think it's movie 3. They go to hell.
Yes, 3 is the Hell chapter, and I like that. I mean, I think Ichigo looks like an idiot at the end of it with his get up, but whatever.
Well, yeah,
Um,
well, like the problem with that is though some of these extra arcs they made became so bad that they literally just canceled the anime in Japan.
oh,
Yeah, like the latest sub arc was just like so unpopular, and the people
uh,
are just kind of tired of these extra arcs that literally do not connect to the main story to the point where you literally have to have like an episode guide which tells you watch this episode through that episode, skip this, watch this episode through that episode, skip that, watch this episode through that episode to actually know what's going on in the main story.
yeah, it's the same thing with One Piece. It has so many arcs and so much filler that I have to request the wiki to see which episodes are filler and which arcs actually progress the story.
Actually, here's the funny part is all those arcs are actually in the manga.
Even
Uh,
the one arc about the
Not all the movies though. Keep in mind,
oh, okay.
only 2 movies are canon. I believe it's I know 10's canon, the New World arc with
The
and I think 4's canon because
uh,
they're both written by the manga artist.
uh and there's also like an abridged version of that of the Alabaster arc, which I'm thankful for because it's one of my favorite arcs, but it's just so long, and it's called One Piece: A Magical Journey or something to that effect.
Yeah,
But
that was actually honestly one of my favorite arcs too because like right now I'm just kind of so bored with the current arc as because it's like they're doing basically what I forget what the technique is called, but Dragon Ball Z did it a lot with get me all your power and like just take forever to do anything.
the Spirit Bomb is the one where Goku sort of extracts.
Well, yeah, not the move, but like like when fights would just all the charge ups. It's basically a technique they use in anime so they give the manga more time to go forward. Is
Yeah,
that they'll just draw out the actions longer and longer. You
yep.
know,
The planet will explode in 5 minutes. Let's fight for 3 hours.
yeah, kind of like that. But One Piece, like it's that one's currently doing it, but like Alabasta, like it just breezed through that so fast. So I got the pleasure going through that and like rewatching it,
Uh-huh.
and it was just awesome because like
And
I,
I'm not. Well, actually, I have heard the news that Monster Mayusa will not be getting a second season.
Monster Mieza. Which one's that one?
The Monster
Oh,
Chick.
the Monster Girl one? No, that's just wrong.
Yeah.
Why? It's so good.
I don't know. I guess they didn't. Uh, excuse me a second. I'm kind of sick if you can't tell. Um, apparently, they couldn't contract some of the animators to continue on with the series.
Oh, was it the studio that made that the one that just went bankrupt?
Uh,
Because I know
I'm
one studio that was making a lot of the really continued story, like tattoo series, went bankrupt.
or it could be that. I don't know. I've only heard rumors about it so far. But it ends at sort of basically the beginning of the manga series at chapter 10, I believe, when Fire Girl is introduced. And that's sort of where the anime ends. But I hopefully they'll pick it up. Maybe not now, or maybe in the later future they will. And let's see. Uh, so
Yeah.
how was One Punch Man? I haven't seen any of it.
Oh man, like this has like become my literally favorite anime right now. Is it basically it takes place this guy called Saitama, and he wanted to become a hero. Okay, and just like in a world that's kind of different from Earth, these creatures just keep appearing, monsters keep appearing, and some humans develop powers. And it has some pretty not overly rich lore, but rich enough that you really get involved in it.
Just enough.
Like, yeah, like there's 4 classifications of monsters ranging from try to remember what the first level is. They're basically like obscure. Like there's dragon, god, demon. It's like demon, dragon, god. Like I forget the first one, but basically, it basically goes up to how much threat to like areas. Like if it's a threat to a region, I believe it's called dragon. If it's a threat to all humanity, it's called god. But anyway, Saitama, he's basically the most powerful man on Earth. He can't be injured. He's basically Superman, but relatable. That's the easiest way to put this. And it basically, he's called One Punch Man because he kills everything in one punch, and he's like so bored. But he still does the hero thing because it's what he wanted to do. And it's really difficult to describe and convey just the enjoyment of it. Like there are other heroes. There's the whole Hero Association or anything, and the animation quality is spectacular. The fights are well illustrated. And it's true, basically, Saitama basically comes and kills everything in one hit. Like in the first episode, there's this guy, he calls himself Vaccine Man. He claims that the Earth spawned him in order to wipe out mankind, which is destroying the world. And like, boom, one hit, he's dead. And like in another episode, there's the guy called himself the Beast King. And like he's just destroying like the entire neighborhood, and boom, 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 dead. But because he's gonna win, so it's more like the enjoyment of the visceral experience.
It's sort of the same thing with Batman. It's like he's going to survive. You're just curious about how he's going to go about it.
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah. But like also the other fights are like I said, like they're just really well ended. Like this last episode, there's a guy called the Sea King, and spoiler, he dies. Like he's a monster. If you don't figure out by episode 9, I think we're on, or 10, that everything's gonna die in this anime, that's a bad guy. You're kind of a lost cause here. Not you, man, but anyway. But like he fought this S-rank superhero. Then he fights Genos, a cyborg. He fights like 2 level A's, 1 level B hero. And like these guys, they take a while in the fight, but the fights are like over pretty quick. But yeah, they're just like really fun. Like when One Piece, like when Luffy's finally duking it out with the actual bad guy.
Yeah.
Like when he fought Crocodile.
Yeah.
Like how awesome that was to watch.
That was a legitimately brutal fight. I know that One Piece tries to be as kid friendly as possible. But damn, it's like he uses his own blood to make himself solid. And yeah,
the fights are kind of like that. Like that's the kind of excitement you get from all the fights. And there's virtually almost no filler, so you're guaranteed like a fight per episode.
Okay, so it's kind of in that same vein of Pantheon stalking. Like there's a fight almost every episode.
I'm sorry, you kind of cut out there, man.
It's sort of like Pantheon stalking with Guard Belt in that vein. It's that every episode has a fight of some description in it.
Yeah, like every episode has a fight, and then there's the character interaction. Like Genos and Saitama's dynamic that they're developing, or essentially in the second episode, he's fighting this mosquito girl from the House of Evolution, and he screws up. He let his guard down. This thing's like literally gonna kill him. He's like, "Well, I have no choice but to self-destruct," and so and then after Saitama saves him, like he becomes his apprentice. But Saitama doesn't know how to be a teacher, which is an issue brought up later. But
his well-illustrated face, I'm guessing it's his like very blank face.
That's right. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Like everything is just kind of good, and it doesn't bore you with overlong character exposés like other anime. It doesn't bore you with overly long fights. Just the animation and gore value is fantastic. It's gory, but not overly gory. It fits just right with like it's like one of those animes that just gets it right, and it's hard. Well, for me anyway. I mean, you watch it, you probably might have a way better experience at this, but for me to adequately explain just how right it just gets it, it's like something you just have to go watch.
Yeah, that's
It really the first episode's kind of slow as you know it can be. But the second episode, it starts to pick up. Third episode, it's really get going, and by the ninth episode, the series is just in full run. And like for example, episode 8, I believe it was. The Sea King's gonna kill all these people in this shelter. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but and it ends on that cliffhanger. And you're like, oh no, and you're actually excited, and you're like talking like, oh, I can't wait for the next week episode because you know the good guy's gonna win, but you have to see how he's gonna win.
I was enthralled with Bleach for I guess probably a full year before I just outright dropped it. And I was subscribed to this channel that would put out the dubbed version every Saturday. And this is probably in the final arc where it went 5 weeks and nothing of substance happened for just ages. So
yeah, we kind of got in the same way. Like, trying to remember how this went now. It's like like right after Ichiko.
Aizen.
Yeah, like when they're going to fight with Aizen, and how then this cuts to like another mini arc.
Yeah, that's when it cuts on Getsu Rebellion, so in the middle.
Yeah, they kind of do like another one like that, like right before the final climax.
Yeah,
and at that point in time, I was like, screw this. And I just went and I watched. I just fast forward to find out what episode it returns the fight, and watched that, and it was spectacular. And I'm like, then I was like done with the series.
Okay. One of my favorite series of all time is probably Hellsing Ultimate.
Which one?
Hellsing Ultimate. It's a reboot.
Oh yeah.
Telling of the Hellsing anime, which came out in 1995. Except this time around is every episode is movie length. They're an hour each. And I've been following the dub for it because I just love the voices in it. Because every voice just perfect in it. It's the same thing with Black Lagoon. Every voice just sounds like it was meant to apply to that character. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I followed the series since 2007. And in that time, if you followed sort of the Hellsing Ultimate production, it drowned out, or it was sort of held by 3 studios. All of them went under before it could be picked up again. And it took them like 8 years for the entire dubbing to get finished because studios kept crashing and getting into money trouble. Hello?
Yeah, I'm still here. I was just listening to you talk.
So I'm out.
What are these studios like of any renown that I would know of, or?
I think it was.
Well, not know their names, but like, would they work on anything else you know
of? They've worked on a bunch of other smaller projects before it. I think Straight Jacket was a movie that one of the studios did.
It's like the first I've ever heard of that one.
Oh, Straight Jacket? Oh, it's a pretty cool film. It's actually a one-off from a much larger manga that came out. Well, I guess this was early 2000s, but the movie didn't come about until 2009, I believe. Okay. Um, so I'm out of topics to go over. You want to call it a night, man?
Yeah, sure. Unless you want to go back to Fault 4 for a bit.
Yeah, I kind of have to like take my nose medication and get well, so I'm ready for work in the morning.
Yeah, fair enough, man. I'm good then.
All right. Thank y'all for listening, and we'll be here next month. Hopefully, I might get killed on the job. You never know.
Yeah, I think that guy El Chapo has a hit out on me. I might not be here either.
Yeah. Well,
I
see
did.
ya.
Peace.